Hello again, Jason here from FG4K, Free Guitars for Kids, and we're going to start you off on lesson number 1. First thing you need to learn is how to read tablature. Now most of that I'm going to leave to your instructor in the class, but I will give you a brief description of it right here. So the basics of it is tablature is a pretty simple way to learn how to read for the guitar. And you'll see 6 lines written on the paper, and on those lines you're going to see numbers. The most important thing to remember is that the 6 lines represent the 6 strings. In tablature, the lowest line is actually what you would see as physically the highest string on the guitar. This is always a point that people have a trouble with. And so we want to keep that in mind, that it's sort of upside down when you look at it physically. So the top line is not the top string, it's actually the lowest string or the thinnest string on the guitar. And the best way to keep track of that is when you think the lowest line, think lowest pitch. Because this is a lower pitch than this is. So we have a low line and we have a low pitch versus the high line and a high pitch. And say on that top line, let's say I have a 0. That would just mean play that string open. If you see a 1 written on that top line, that would mean play the first fret. Simple as that. And like I said, the rest of that will be useful for you to talk to your instructor about, and they will be able to teach you that a whole lot better than what we're doing right now. But with that being said, we're going to look at what we had as our first warm-up in the lesson, which is what we just call a 1, 2, 3, 4 warm-up. And this is a little bit tricky, and it's not designed for you to go fast. It's really more designed for your fingers to get used to playing the notes. So if you start playing this and you think it doesn't sound very good or it's not very fast, that's okay. This is the first thing you're doing on the guitar. That's not the point. It's just to get things going for you and to use 4 different fingers. So before we do that, let's talk about those 4 different fingers. So on our left hand, which we're going to be using to press down the notes, we have our 4 fingers and our thumb. We're not going to use our thumb yet. That comes much later. So we have 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to keep that straight, we have our first finger and our 4th finger, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start on string number 6, which is the thickest string. We're going to take our first finger, and we're going to hold down the first fret on string number 6. Now, what comes next is going to look pretty easy, but feel pretty difficult, okay? So we're simply going to do this. We're going to play fret number 1, and then fret number 2, and then fret number 3, and then fret number 4. But you'll notice I'm not taking one finger and shifting it up. I'm using 4 different fingers. So I'm taking my first finger on the 1st fret, and my second finger on the 2nd fret, my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, and my 4th finger on the 4th fret. You'll also notice that this isn't really easy to make a stretch, and that's also okay. So for now, it's okay if you have to move your hand a little bit to make those notes. And later on, you'll learn a little bit more how to get the hand stretched out, and so you don't have to jump around. But for now, it's okay if you have to shift a little bit. So that, in essence, what we've just done there is what you do the entire exercise. The only difference is we spread it out all over all 6 strings. So we start 1, 2, 3, 4 on string number 6, and then we go to string number 5 and do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and keep on going. 1, 2, 3, 4. We work our way all the way up. Okay, so now we have this, what we call ascending. So this is going from lower pitch to higher pitch. So that's what we refer to as ascending. And so now we want to descend the same exercise or reverse the order. And when we descend, we don't want to just reverse the string order, we want to reverse the note order as well. So in other words, we're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and keep this going all the way down. So back to that whole stretch thing. This exercise doesn't have to be played from the 1st fret. You can play this exercise from anywhere. You can choose any 4 consecutive frets that you like, And if that makes it easier for your left hand, then you should definitely do that. You can start it from the 5th fret. If it's easier, you can start it from the 7th fret. You'll notice that the frets start to get a little closer together as you work your way up on the neck. So if I start from 7, it's going to be a little bit easier than if I start from 1 as far as my left hand stretch is concerned. So then I'll go just picking 4 consecutive frets, and the same idea. Just make sure every time you ascend, you descend. Okay, so we have a few songs this lesson that we're going to work on. We have Wipeout, we have Ode to Joy, and we have Seven Nation Army. It doesn't matter which one you do first. You can pick one that looks most interesting. You can pick one that you recognize, whatever it is, or pick one that looks the easiest. It doesn't really matter. Seven Nation Army is probably a good one to start with because it stays on one string the entire time. And that string is string number 5. So let's look at that one. So we count the strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We find our 5th string, and you notice the first note you see on there, the first number that you see on that line is a 7. So we're going to work our way up to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is a very, very, very important note here to think about. We have fret markers, okay? They're not just decorations, but we have these markers on the frets. And you'll notice you have them on the side of it as well, okay? Now the side ones can be a big help because you might see those a little bit easier. Most guitars have a fret marker at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and then at least the 12th. This one, you'll notice the front doesn't have a marker on fret number 3. It doesn't start till fret number 5, but that's okay. It just depends on what guitar you have. It does, however, have fret markers on the side for fret number 3, which is right there, okay? And then it goes 5, 7, 9, and then the double dots are 12. Use that to help you find these notes in a really, really quick way. So if I want to play Seven Nation Army and I want to get to that 7th fret, I can just simply look at my fret markers. Okay, there's 3, 5, and 7 using the fret markers, and now I'm set. Okay, so let's get started with Seven Nation Army. This riff, I think, is played probably 12 times in the song to start, but play it as many times as you can possibly take, basically, okay? Because you want it to be in a nice, good zone, and it's not really about how many times you play it, it's about how comfortable you get playing it and how smooth you want to try to make it. So that's your only goal. And as with any song, I'll recommend that you ever play in the future, especially for the beginning, until you become an expert sight reader, you need to memorize it, okay? And this isn't a very long song, so the first order of business for you should probably be just to memorize the song. Because if you can memorize it, you can stop looking at the paper and you can start focusing on how to play it. It makes it a whole lot easier for you to play that way. So Seven Nation Army, we start with the 7th fret, and then the next note is the same note, another 7th fret on string number 5. Okay? The next note we are actually changing to a 10th fret. It's not a 1 and a 0 separately. It's actually a 10. So we're going to look at that. So we see 7, 8, 9, 10, or we can use that 9th fret marker. So there's 9. And so there's 10 right there. That's the best way to find this, okay? So you see 9 and there's 10. Now, how to get to that 10th fret? You'll see a lot of people wanting to go and shift up with the first finger. I highly recommend trying to use your pinky for that. Even though your pinky is probably your weakest finger, that's probably the good reason to use it, just because it needs to work more than everything else does, okay? So we're going to play 7, 7 again, and then we play that 10th fret, okay? And then we jump back down to the 7, and then you'll see a 5, a 3, and then a 2. And I'm just saying the fret numbers because they're all on the same string. Okay, next song for us to work on is a very, very, very famous classical theme called Ode to Joy. It utilizes 2 different strings, okay? So here's what it sounds like. Of course, there's more to the song than that, but that's the part that we're going to take on today. So it starts on string number 1, open, okay? And then we're going to play this open, and then play that open again. Then we go to the 1st fret on the 1st string. And then the 3rd fret on the 3rd string. Now, For this song, this doesn't always work for songs and doesn't work that often actually. But for this particular one, when we're using the first fret, we can use our first finger. Third fret, third finger. And those are the only two fingers that you're going to use, first and third. For anything open, obviously you're not using any finger to hold it down, so it's an easy way to keep track of the fingering by understanding first fret, first finger, third fret, third finger. So here's what it looks like. Open, open, first, third, and then you kind of go backwards on that. 3, 1, open, and now we're switching to the next string. This is really, really important to realize that that next note, the third fret, is on the second string. And you notice on all these, I'm trying to stay close up to the fret wire and not down here. You'll notice if you start to hear things like this, okay, you'll probably have that happen to you a few times if it hasn't happened already. And one reason could be maybe you're not pressing down hard enough, but if I move this up, I get the sound that I want just by moving my finger to the good position. So we keep on going. And then, first fret, twice, back to the third fret, open on the first string, then open again. And then the second half is almost the same, and I think you'll be able to figure that out, but I'll play the whole thing again. Okay, next song we're going to take on is Wipe Out, a classic surf song, and this song is going to utilize the fourth string and the third string. And as with a lot of the songs that we're doing, this isn't the entire song. We're just taking little excerpts from the song so you can do at least a very identifiable part of it. So just so you know, when you listen to the song, there is more to it. So when we start to string number 4 on this one, and it stays on string number 4 for a while. And we're just going to start with this open here. Okay, now if you've played an instrument before and you understand rhythms a little bit, that fourth note is one that actually starts on the beat, okay? So it sounds like this. If I were to count it, 1, 2, 3. Okay, at that point we switch and do almost the same exact thing, just on the third string. Then back to the fourth string. So here's what we have of that one. And there you go for Wipeout. Have fun.